Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make tech house in the style of Hot Since 82. As usual, you get the project file and samples, MIDI and presets, all that stuff in this video in the description, and if you're a patron with Patreon, check there, because it's already available. Yeah, let's dive in. So, the first sound that we have here is the kick, which sounds like this. Pretty simple kick. You can hear it's just like this very punchy, kind of like bassy kick. You know, it's got a lot of nice, really fat low end to it. You can see I've just got an EQ, and then that's cutting out a little bit of low mid-range, kind of cleaning up some mud, as well as boosting the lows. And then I've got a drum bus on here just to fatten this up. You can see I've got the transients up on that as well, which really helps with the punch of the kick. You know, if you really want to bring out that attack, turning that knob up can do a lot. And yeah, that is it for the kick. Next sound we have here is the bass, which sounds like this. Here's the bassline MIDI, so you can see it's a pretty simple, sort of like, almost like disco-influenced bassline, I feel like. It's just sticking on this F sharp, that's the key word, F sharp minor. You're just going down to E and then up to A. So literally just 3 notes, very simple. And then it's just got a really nice groove to it. For the sound on this one, I made it using Operator. What this is it's 2 sine waves. You can see we've got them doing some FM here. And the second one's an octave down. So it's a great technique to make these kind of tech housey basses. Like, you want sort of a sine wave with these type of basses, but you can hear if I do just a sine wave, it feels a little flat. But when you add in the FM from the second oscillator, it makes it so it's still that deep sine wavy sound, but it's a lot fatter and more full. And it stands out more in the mix with this kind of sound. So yeah, then after that, I'm just got a little bit of a low pass. Here's without it. You can hear it just kind of smooth the sound out. And that is it for inside the synth. After that, I've got a bit of drum mass to fatten the sound up. You can see this just really takes it and makes it more full and more fat sounding, like I said. Then we got this auto pan, which is kind of working the same way you would use like Kickstart or LFO tool. It's just using an Ableton device. Basically, you can see I've got the phase down, so it's only affecting the volume. And then we have it on quarter notes, and then it's on the inverted saw wave, so it's like kind of going up. And you get a very sidechain-esque sound. And the reason why I like doing it this way, you'll see I've done it throughout this project file this way, is because it gives you a little bit more control, you know? When you're sidechaining it to the kick, you're kind of like at the mercy of what that kick is going to do with the sidechain. But with this, you can control it all you want, because you can turn up the shape and get a completely different kind of vibe. And then the last thing we have on there is just an EQ8. With this, you can see I'm cutting at 100 hertz as well as at like 186. So just cutting out some mud and also cutting out some room for the kick and then just boosting the low end. Here's without this. And then with it, so you can hear like it just really helps to kind of clean this up and make it fit into the mix a bit better. After that, I've got the kick and bass in a group, also known as a bus. It's a great technique for tech house. You'll see I also did this with the percussion and also with some of the synths even. It's like just taking all these similar sounds and putting them in groups together and then processing them together. It's such a great way to make everything sound so full and fat and professional. Here's without it. And then with it, so you can hear in the case of the low end, it really helps to make the kick and bass kind of fit together a little more. But yeah, so first thing here is just a bit of drum bus. It's on the medium setting, and I've got the drive and crunch there. So it's kind of gluing these together, and then I also have the transients turned up. So that's making it just hit a little bit harder. And, you know, kind of give that extra little oomph. Then after that, we just have an EQ8. This is just cutting out some mud at 226 hertz. And then also boosting a bit of low end just to make it sound a bit fatter and a bit more full. Here's without this. And then with it. So you can hear how this kind of refines the sound and makes it a little bit more clean sounding. And yeah, that is it for that. The next thing we have here, these claps, which sound like this. So basically we have like our main clap, which is 2 layers. We have this layer, kind of adding that like psh, and then this one, which gives you more of the like mid-range and that kind of like in the sound. And then I also have this one under here, which is just like a little extra thing like that that just plays. Like that. And then this one's got a bit of echo on it, you can see, and also some drum bus to make it a bit stronger. And yeah, that is it for the claps. Like I said, it's really simple. It's more about like the small details with this one. Like you can see how I have the 2 layers to get the really full sounding main clap, and then like this little thing coming in here. You know, I didn't just stop with the main clap. And then also I have the claps in a group together. It's got a bit of drum bus to kind of fatten those up and help to glue together like those 2 claps that are playing at the same time. As well as a bit of EQ to bring out the high end. Yeah, and then after that we have pretty much just like all this percussion here. I'll show it to you one by one. Here's what it all sounds like. So you can see we got a few different like hi-hats and some other stuff. It starts with this bell, so the bell just sounds like this. So this is just like with that other clap I showed you. You know, it's just the little things like this that really make a big difference and make it sound more professional and more full when you have little stuff like this. And it's all about fitting it into the groove. Like if you listen, I make sure nothing else is playing when this plays so that you can really focus on this and it's really strong. But yeah, you can also see I've got that tune, which is not coming up on the tuner right now, but this is tuned to F sharp. That's the key of the track. And yeah, then we got the open hi-hat. Pretty simple stuff. This one's more about just finding like a really fat sample like this, which if you want this one, link is in the description. But yeah, just like a fat open hi-hat. And then we've got a ride. This is again just one of those little details. Listen to the mix if I turn it off. And then when I turn it on, it just gives you, it's like very subtle. It's not really in there that much, but it's just giving you that little like to kind of tie this all together here. And then the last thing we got here inside of this percussion group is just the shaker and tambourine combo. So what's happening is we have the shaker going like that, just straight 16th notes, and the tambourine is playing every other one. And this is a very nice way to do a shaker like this because it kind of like adds some more depth to it. You know, if you just have this one, like if I play that in the mix, it doesn't come through as much. It's kind of just underneath everything. But when you add the tambourine, it accentuates those notes and makes the whole thing stronger. So then I've got all that percussion in a group together, just like I was saying with the kick and bass. This is bussing, you know, to make everything sound more full, and more fat, and more professional. So the first thing we got here is the reverb. I like to put this on the percussion. It really helps to kind of, you know, put it all in the same space. You can see the key here is just having the dry wet down pretty low, like it's only at 10%. After that, we have this audio effect track, and what this is essentially multi-band fattening. So what we're doing here, multi-band fattening, excuse me there. What we're doing here, as you can see, I've got 3 chains. We got the highs, the mids, and then the lows, which is not really much going on there. And then you can see what's happening here is I'm processing these all differently. So you can see with the high end, I've got a saturator, and then I've got this EQ to kind of cut out some of those like nasty frequencies. And then with the mid-range, we've got a drum bus. And yeah, so this is a really great way of processing these sounds. And the reason why is because, truth be told, if you just throw a drum bus on all of your percussion like this, in a track like this where you want it to sound really clean and professional and polished, it's just going to get super messy. It's going to end up sounding more like lo-fi house than tech house. So if you take it and split it and just kind of work with like each frequency range, you know, you can get the highs sounding like this. You're really crisp and sharp while still getting that fat mid-range. Versus, again, if you just put the drum bus on everything, a lot of times with the percussion, it can make it sound kind of lo-fi and take out some of that high end. But this way we can still get what we want with the mid-range and then process the high end a little bit more effectively. So yeah, this is a great technique. You know, if you are working with percussion or really anything, multi-band processing is just such a great way and such an effective and clean way to really polish your sounds. And if you want this rack to do it, link is in the description. After that, the only other thing we have on here is just an EQ8. Just got a low end cut, and then a little bit of a high end boost, a little bit of a mid range boost for some fatness and the claps and stuff like that. And that is it for the percussion. The next thing that we have here is this first stab, which sounds like this. So here are the notes. You can see this one is actually just kind of playing these two notes here. We've got F sharp and C sharp. So just the root note of the key we're in and then the fifth. Really simple. Here you can see it's the same notes. I just have it inverted. I put the C sharp down an octave. And then over here, it's basically just playing around with the octaves, but it's just these two notes happening every time you hear this. It's very simple. It's not that complicated. It's just kind of playing off of the other one, which I'll talk about more in a sec. But yeah, it's just a really simple, nice kind of riff like that. For the sound on this one, this is made using FM synthesis and operator. You can see it's actually a pretty simple FM sound. We have two sine waves. You can see I've got the second one coarse pitch at 2. And then they're going into a low pass filter, which is set like this. You can see just kind of throwing off some of that high end. Cleaning it up. Then we've just got a bit of chorus to kind of spread the sound out a little bit. And then I have this resonator here. This is tuned to F sharp minor. So we got F sharp and then the minor third there. I've got it on the B setting. And this really helps to make this not just sound like a dry synth. Like, part of the thing I was finding while working on this track for this video was like, if you just use really dry synth sounds, it doesn't really sound right. If you listen to Hot Synth 82's tracks, and really just tech house in general, it doesn't really work if you have those like simple machine-like kind of computer sounds. You really need to do stuff like this to kind of make it feel more textured and bring it to life. Here's before this. You can hear it just sounds very like digital. But with the resonator, it brings it to life. And then the last thing on there is just a bit of drum bus to fatten it up. That is it for the first stab. Next thing we have here is the second stab, which sounds like this. So the chord this is playing is just an F sharp minor, actually. You can see it's literally just, yeah, F sharp, root note, minor third, which would be A, and then the fifth, which would be C sharp. And then I've just taken the minor third and put it down an octave. Just kind of a cool way to mix it up a little bit more, you know, makes it, again, not just sound so simple and machine-like. So the sound on this one is made using analog. You can see we just got two sine waves going into a low pass with a bit of an envelope to make it a pluck. We've also got the amp envelope set in a similar way. And then I just have a bit of vibrato. You can see I've got the rate up really high. And that is it for inside the synth. Then we have a resonator. And with this one, I've actually tuned it to C sharp. So this is actually the fifth of the key we're in. Again, just a cool way to give this more texture. If I put it to F sharp, sounds a bit more simple and kind of like obvious. But if I put it to C sharp, having this tuned to a C sharp minor chord, because we got +3, the minor third, and then we got +7, the fifth. It gives it a more interesting texture and a more interesting feel. After that, we've got a bit of chorus. And then I have this echo here, which you can see, this is just like really fast. You can hear it just gives it that like kind of ringing out after the notes, you know? And then the last thing we got on here is just a bit of drum bass. You can see I've got that on the medium setting. And yeah, that is it for that second stab. And then I have both of those stabs in a group. So here's with no group processing. And then with all of it. So you can hear how this really ties it all together. So it's pretty simple stuff. We just got a bit of echo on dotted eighth notes to give everything a uniform echo. This really helps for having these two play off of each other. Then we just have a bit of drum bus to fatten them up and give them a little bit more texture in the mix. And then the last thing we have on here is that same auto pan setting I showed you earlier, where it's kind of like a simulated sidechain without having to actually sidechain this to the kick. And then that's it for the stabs. The next thing we have here are these vocal chops, which sound like this. So these are really simple. It's just two cool vocal chops. And then I've just put them in here. The key with these is being really sparse, you know. They're not just like hitting every second, but they hit when they have a place to hit. But you can hear what these add to the mix. You know, these are the kind of like little details that a lot of times people don't realize when they leave out. And it really makes a big difference in terms of like the professionalism and fullness of your track. So if I turn this off, it still works. But it's so much cooler when it has that. on it. So I'll show you here are the original vocal chops. So you can hear I process them a little bit. The first thing we got here is just a bandpass filter, just kind of, filters out some of the high end, makes them sound a bit deeper. Then we've got this reverb, which is giving them some space, as you would imagine. With these, you want a pretty long reverb. Then we've got this drum bus to fatten them up. This also helps to actually make the reverb a little bit louder and kind of bring it more forward in the mix. And then we just have an auto pan simulating a side chain. And that is it for the vocal chops. And then the last layer we have here is this granular string. That's what I called it. I think you can see it. Yeah, there we go. Granular string. So what this is it's the string sample you hear in the background of the track. That you can see I've got this playing the C sharp, so it's actually playing the fifth of the key we're in. That's a nice way to make it a little bit more interesting versus just having it play at F sharp. But the way I'm doing this here is I have a string sample, this one. And then I brought it into a granular synth. So granular synth is a really good way to take a sample like that and make it like an endless loop. Because what it's doing is it's just playing. See that yellow line moving around? It's just playing different parts on the sample over and over. So when you have a sample like this, it's essentially like the same thing pretty much throughout. You can just make an endless loop really easily using granular synthesis this way. And then I just have a few effects on that. I've got a bit of chorus to kind of spread it out, as well as this echo, which is on the ping pong setting. So it's like a really fast echo on the ping pong setting. It's good to do on these types of like strings. Like when I hear this type of tech house, a lot of times when people just drop in a string and don't do like the stereo stuff to it, it doesn't really work that well. But if you really take your time and get it working right in the mix to where it's like in a different place in the mix from everything else with the stereo stuff, you can hear it fits really well, and you can have it as loud as everything else and have it still be up in the front of the mix without having it take over the whole mix or without having it be just kind of like too weak. After that, I have a bit of drum bus just to kind of give it a little bit more strength and a little bit more fatness and fullness. And then we just have an auto pan simulating the side chain. And that is it for the string. And yes, that is also going to be it for this video. That's all I got to show you guys today. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that stuff from this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.